Hi there, my name is JK, you know me as Alucard J, and this is continuing my video guide for my SlenderGuide. All these guides, huh? Okay, this is where we left off, and exactly the same as the last video, I forgot to save. Save. Okay, here we are. So, I'm just going to do a little cleanup too. Let's collapse these. Now, new terrain was the very first terrain I showed you. That is absolutely not my terrain. Now, but better be safe than sorry. Let's go to a new scene, drag that terrain on, have a look. Yep, that was my demo terrain I was showing you. So we'll get rid of that. So that was new terrain. Let's clean that up. And confirm. There's my having the size of it. Okay, so that is definitely our terrain. Back to our scene. Wakey. Normally I have my folders organised a lot better than this, as I described before, but I just wanted to leave these open so that all of you can see the Unity assets I've picked up and what I'm using there, rather than hiding them all over the place. Okay, so everything underscore is mine, everything here is from the asset store, except for this fellow here. Now back to the forum page which I directed you to for the textures. If you were observant, you would have seen that some really clever bloke, person, male, female, terrestrial, has created a groovy model here. Now, I think this is awesome. Yeah, I just think that's really cool. Okay, if anybody's good at skinning, they could skin it. Try some vertex colouring, but yeah, so that's why that's there. The reason I'm just showing you that quickly is because I'm going to go through two steps. I'm going to show you how I did it originally with just a flat image, and for the people that are using models and are having problems with models, I will then just quickly throw this one in just to show you how it works exactly the same for both. Alright, so let's get on with the music. Step 4, how to have an enemy. We're into the guts of it now. Yep, that's all about the model. Search for an image. Okie doke. Yeah, I won't open those for now. Alright, so let's build this thing. Let's make it happen. Okay, that's up to the script. Create a cube. Name it Enemy. Scale it to 1 to 2 to 1. So I'm saying this guy's roughly about 2 meters tall. I'll tell you what, I want to just go a bit more on that. I'm going to make him 3 meters tall. Okay, and then we'll just pop this out just to bring in that correct ratios. And because it's just a flat image, what I say, 1 or not 1? And 1. Okie dokie. Alright, now this should have just said create an empty game object. Again, I think I was trying to keep the whole thing easy because it was written. It wasn't a visual guide. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Remove or replace a box collider. You see I have a box collider. Now we can go remove component, but you can only really have one collider. So if we go mesh, no? So we go physics, capture collider. Unity will tell us, hey, we've already got a box collider. You want to replace it? Yes, please. Replace it. Bang. Capsule collider. Okay. Capsule collider center 0. You can see how it's already lined up beautifully. I think. Okay. Center. Capsule collider is 0. Radius 0.5. Height of 1. Oh, because that's in relation to the scale. That's why it's still encapsulating the whole thing. Fantastic. Alright, so we have our thing. Now also attach a rigid body component. So enemy, component, physics, rigid body. Okay? Mass is 1, use gravity is true. Okay? That looks like it's all happening. Wow. Now for the script. That was painless. Let me just check ahead. I'm still working on the model before we get to the script. Okay, that was the model and the texture was implied at the start. Alright, well, let's cover that exactly as I opened. Okay, so we have what will be our figure. We need to create a material for that. So, material, SlenderGuide. Okey-doke. Now, this guy, if we have a look at my texture, we've got some alpha. We don't want to be showing this white on them. We don't want to see a square coming towards us, right? So, we're going to use a transparent shader for this one. So, transparent, diffuse. Okey-doke. Drag in the texture, and there we have it. Alpha, our SlenderGuide. Okey-doke. So we have a material. Let's apply it to our object. There we have it. Scary dude. This guy's going to be following us around. I don't know. I just googled it, just like I said in the guide. This was actually a picture of a model that someone made, and I thought, okay, that's a pretty decent image. I like the suit and tie. So let's have it. Okay, we don't need textures anymore. We don't need materials anymore. So there's our dude. As he's always going to be set to look towards us, as you can see there, you're not going to see the borders or the outline kind of thing. Alright, but yeah, this kind of sprite approach is really not the best way to go. But keep it simple, stupid. Okay, so for all you peeps out there that would like to use a model, what are we going to do? Okay, we're going to take our existing enemy and all that work we just did, that rendering, that cube, we're going to turn the renderer off. Okay, so renderer, see you later. All we have now is basically what could be considered an empty game object with a capsule collider. Okay, this is the physical object that's going to be working in our world. What we want to add now is graphics. Alright, so let's find our Slendy model. Okay, let's drag him in. Let's just pop it in the scene first. And he's a little small, isn't he? What we'll do is we'll actually, first of all, make him a child of the enemy object. Okay, so he's inside there. Let's zero that out, of course. Okay, so we'll check. See, there's our enemy that's way too small in our capsule collider. Let's have a look at the import settings. Use the screen for once. Okay, now let's have a look. How far off is he? So that's at least 10 to 1 out, isn't it? So oops, back to the model. So 10 to 1, so we're going to multiply it by 10. Let's bring it up to 0.1. We don't want any problems with animations. We're not bringing any animations. We don't want it to reset when we hit play our position, so we just don't import. Okay, we don't need them. We don't have any to use. Apply. Now watching the screen, there we go. Now let's just check and compare the model to the collider. Okay, we're getting there. No, wasn't a very good guess. That's still only about halfway there. So what we're going to do is we're going to double it, of course. So 0.2, of course, apply. There we are. We're starting to get there now. Alright, we're fitting. Now, the capsule collider will be colliding with the bottom of the terrain. That looks like that will clip the feet if you look at it like that. So we're just going to grab our model. It's hard to see without the collider for a reference, isn't it? So how about, look at that. Let's use a screen to our advantage. Bottom of the collider is on the bottom of the scene view. So we pick our model. Let's just raise it up. Probably really doesn't need much. I might even give it a little bit of a buffer for the grass and whatnot. Yeah, see, 0.4. Okay, so that is basically it. If you want to use a model, there you go. Now, the most important consideration is I have not generated colliders. Okay, this thing is a graphic. It's not a physical item. It's not a physical object. It's not going to be doing anything or acting. It's just there as a visual representation. Okay. This is a trickery of coding. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, there is our model sitting there. Let's just double check. Let's look at our prefab as it is now. You see, we have a mesh filter, of course. Yeah, that's a mesh to render And we have a renderer, so we can see things. And absolutely no collider associated with it whatsoever. Okay, fantastic. So that is how you use your own model. Alright, I'm even going to leave that there for now. Okay, bear with me if you can hear my dog whimpering. It's raining and he doesn't like rain. So where are we up to? I think we covered that quite well. So we have created an enemy object with a capsule collider and a rigid body. Okay, we've looked at two methods. We can use the flat texture, alright, or we can use a model. Fantastic. Back to the guide. Create a script, call it enemy script. Now we did that before because of that little error that was thrown, didn't we? Scripts, enemy script. Let's just open that up, make it happen. And before we continue, remember this commented line? We're now adding a script. So before I forget, we're going to uncomment that. Of course, there is no variable, there is no function called reduce distance yet. So we are absolutely expecting an error. There we go. Okay, now let's grab this wall of text. I think I might do a theory on this script separately. I'm not going to talk through this because you can see just to even get the indentations correctly again, it's going to take some while. I could pause it and all that. But I think if I go through the theory separately, all you young eager people that just want to get this out there and happening can do it. Alright? So, enemy scripts. There we go, bang. I'll tell you what, that does do my head in looking at it like that. Yeah, can't help myself. Where does that go to? Okay, everything. I absolutely can't help myself, but I think I'd like to point out a few things. Alright, so, bottom line is, we have the script. Save it out, come back to Unity. Now, we have a variable. Was it reduce distance? No, it was a function we were looking for. A function which I added afterwards as per a request. A reduce distance. So every time you pick up a paper, the paper script is going to say, hey, I just picked up a paper. Enemy, we want you to start following us a little bit closer. Alright? So what I've done with this is actually quite tricky, but it works. Okay, if you don't want the enemy following you for the first paper, so I've made the distance a ridiculous amount. So the enemy is actually not going to move for the first paper. As soon as you call this the first time, reduce distance. Let's go and have a look at that. Control find, Control V, reduce distance. There we are. There's the function we are calling. Follow distance is reduced by a certain amount. Alright. So let's have a look at the variables. Follow distance, like I said, I started at something ridiculous. Okay. Max physical distance. What was it? It's reduced distance amount. So okay, so if we start at 24 and there are 8 papers, every time we pick up a paper, we're minusing 3.1 from 24. So the next one is going to be 21.9. I can't do my math. 20.9. Okay. Then we're going to get to what? 17.8. You get the idea. I mean, that's what calculators are for. Alright, so every time we pick up a paper, that function is going to be called. Follow distance is going to be reduced. Okay, by 3.1. So by the time you pick up 8, I think it works out to be about 2 meters or something. This fellow is right on top of you. You turn around, boom. Okey-doke. So that explains that. We've commented that out. Enemy's fixed. I'll leave that open just in case. Enemy script is saved. Now let's look at Unity. Watch it compile. That error is now gone away. This is starting to look good. Now, I won't assume anything, but I'm pretty sure the script goes on the enemy. I should know I wrote it. Enemy. Let's just collapse these for a second. Enemy scripts. Okay, again, It's brought in the audio source. Let's have a look at why that happens. Script, require component, audio source. Thank you. So, if it doesn't have one, Unity's so clever it will actually give it one. Of course, we don't want it to play straight away, so we'll turn that off. And I won't make the same mistake again. Audio is separate, so we'll collapse that. Okay, we have script, player. Now, pretty sure I've written it all to seek itself. Okay. Now this would throw the error again if the player didn't exist, because it's GameObject find player, but we want it to transform. So if we couldn't find a player, this would throw an error. Now, I really hope that you've actually got a player. Let's see what I've got. A first-person controller. See? Absolutely throw an error. You know what? Alright, we'll even call it B. We'll test it out. Where's our error? There's our error. Okay? The Vero player has not been assigned. Okay? Okay. Oops, what happened? So, the enemy is looking for a player. The script is asking to set itself up. GameObject find player. Alright? So, now, stop that. Player. Clear those because they were in runtime. Hit play. Fantastic, we have no errors. And he's run off somewhere already. How can I demonstrate how to test this is working out? So, what we can do, somehow keep an eye on the enemy in our scene view while we walk around. Guess where we are in the normal view. First, let's check where he is in the world. He's at 1,000,000 miles in the air, so he didn't walk, he dropped. Where should we start him? Let's start him on the ground at least. What's his height? Something crazy. 20. So that ground is pretty low in that spot. That's good. Very close to the edge. Oh, something I noticed. If you collapse the collider component, you see how it's not showing and I just got confused? Let's expand that. There we go. You can see our capture collider and it is penetrating into the terrain. So enemy, pick up the whole lot. Don't just pick up your model. That's why I wanted to see the collider, so I didn't make that mistake. You see the collider, the model is just a graphic. Okay, don't touch it. There it is. It's above the ground. Let's hit play now. You go crazy. Okay, he drops, but he's gone past 24 meters, so he has in fact started following already. He goes off in his own little world. You can kind of see landmarks from there, so let's keep a track of him there. Alright, let's just have some fun and play the game. What's happening here? Alright, so he's rolling around down there. He's doing his rigid body. Let's go find some papers, alright? Remember, use E in the editor just to avoid some problems. So we hit E and watch what's happening in the scene view with the enemy. So, we have a paper. Looks like he's slowly making his way towards us. So he's creeping along there. Let's click some more papers. Let's test that 5.5 meters. There we go. Oh, yep. Okay. There we are. And that guy is, there goes the flashlight. Hit the F. You see that guy is still steadily walking his way towards us, right? I assume all that bumpiness, I forgot about all the trees. There's the radio tower. Looks like our guy's headed up to the radio tower. No, see, he's turned around and followed us. If we turn around now, whoa! Unassigned reference exception. What's going on here? Okay, so we talked about the audio. We didn't do anything about it. Let's look at these again. Player finds itself. That was as far as I went, of course. Enemy sighted. I've got an audio clip for that. And this explosion. It's a pretty good little boom. Hopefully enough to give us a scare. So, get rid of that. It's time to go looking for him. I'm sure it's how I set the screen up. I'm really not going to worry about the trees, although in my head I'm very worried about the trees. What happened between videos? Now, he's rolling around. I should have picked up a paper. Papers are somewhere. It's already becoming a little game. Okay, let's just pick up a couple of papers, get him doing his thing. Alright, so we picked up 2 papers. He wants to be up to 16 meters. Alright, now I'm walking towards the tower. I need to look away. Let's go and find him. Now I noticed when I reviewed my last video that you can't actually hear the sounds. They're coming out very loud and clear, unlike my voice. The only thing I can think of is to upload a web demo of this build so you can see it all happening and hear it happening. Now I'm looking. Way! Oh, that sound got me. Did we? There he is. Starting to happen. And we can see there's a health variable. I called it health, sanity, what have you. Sort of help. Just to keep it generic. Okay, so that seems to be happening, alright? There goes the flashlight. Watch the health. You can't hear the noise, but you definitely watch the health. There we go. As soon as he kind of popped on, there we go. Alright. So that part's working. I do want to see what's happening with the trees, because I'm a bit worried about that. So, let's see the layout. Let's even maximize on play. No, I've lost my trees and my grass and everything. Look, I'm not going to worry about that. This seems to be something that I've done, and I don't understand why. Until I go and investigate. Let's just have a look. Click, click. Of course, when you put them up against something, you'll see them this way. So they'll be oriented the right way up. You won't be coming from the back, because that'll be on the wall. So unless you like it upside down, why not? Of course, you know, like give them a bit of an angle. You could even put like a nail through it. Okay, now, this is fun when I don't know where he is, but I do know he's coming from that direction. Which will lead me on to another part coming soon. Hey! You didn't hear it, but I heard it. Oh, he's coming right for us! Whoa! You can barely see that sanity going. I'll show you what to do with screen effects. Okay, now I'm going to cut this video very short. Not too happy, and I don't want to record it again. But, I need to find out what's happening with the trees, and I'll come back and I'll further explain this enemy script when I've got my project sorted out. Don't even know if I want to save. See you in a minute.